Of course, AI can draw a beautiful picture like a real artist, but can AI move to Berlin and overdose like a real artist? The main problem is private ownership on LLMs. This is a big problem because we are redefining art all the time. There is a person on the toilet reading like with their phone, like artistic research. And I don't like this way of working. I don't appreciate when artists comes and say like, I want to do this, and you just support. There are more microbial cells in our body than our own body, so who we are. Most of the artists, they cannot generate good ideas, so for them maybe it's an option. This is their level. Keep going. Just keep going, it's cool.
What is art for you?
Because I'm working in this domain of new media and art and science. So yeah, to me, actually, it's, of course, it's not about craft. It's not about creating like some footage or, I don't know, like pictures or, because, yeah, like now we can create all these kind of pictures, videos, sounds using artificial intelligence. Do you remember this meme? About this guy who's saying it's very funny, very hilarious, where he says, "Of course, AI can draw a beautiful picture like a real artist." You remember this? Like, and then but can AI move to Berlin and overdose like a real artist? This is hilarious, but this is so insightful. Because art, it's not about creating pictures. It had always been about mythology, about story, about some narrative behind this, like artist figure, also behind doing some work and some practice. So it's more about creating some message behind it, creating some concept, also challenging boundaries, because our art had always been about this, like pushing boundaries, challenging its limits, redefining what is art. So it's like a constantly changing process because we are redefining art all the time. So this is one important thing. But to me, what is always important about new media art and art and science, so this is research-based practice. So it's kind of, again, it's kind of redefining what art is. So it's not about creating some installation. It's about crafting some meaning inside it. So it's about how your visual representation of this installation, how all these kind of parts, because there are many different parts, like there is a visual part, there is this like shape, and there's this meaning, there's this process. Yeah, so all these kind of things, they matter. And they create this kind of meaning which is bigger than any single part. So, and this is beautiful about these kind of practices because they create some meaning which is not verbal, which is not only visual, because visuals, of course, they also convey some message, and media is a message. So they all convey, they create some meaning. So it's more about creating meanings, or it can be about challenging media. What I find like the most important in new media art, that it can be this agent which can reveal something hidden in media itself. So when we do new media art, we're challenging technology in a way that we can reveal something hidden in media. So this is kind of like media specificity. So this is important. I hope I answered the question, what art is for me.
Sure, it's a lot of things. I write it down,
of course.
Like research, creating narratives, stories, mythology. I got a question about research part of it, because traditionally research is a practice which is science-based practice, and only recently it became a established artistic endeavor.
Mhm.
What do you think differentiate the artist-based research from the science-based research?
Again, you remind me of some meme.
Which one this time?
Which I love. The picture, like on the left side, is a person in the lab and the white coat. There is some some laboratory with some like microscopes and things, and it's like scientific research. And then on the right side, there is a person on the toilet reading like with their phone, like it's artistic research.
That's funny. Yeah.
Funny, but it's also kind of true. So artistic research has a lot of freedom, like what it differentiates and what actually my friends, scientists and researchers, what they love about it, about our collaborations, that it can be free, because scientific research has a lot of limits. Budget, like you have to apply for budget, and always like a very bureaucratic system. So you have to apply for budget, you have to create some application which will receive funding, and then you're limited within this funding. And then, of course, they think, even in fundamental science, they think already what they can fund, what they want to fund. Usually it's something which can be applied into some product or something. So it's always like that. And my colleagues, my collaborators, scientists, they always say like, yeah, but artistic work, it gives so much freedom because we can do crazy things together, which is still scientific, which is science-based, it's real science, but it's much more free without these limitations. And we also can dream about something which is not there. So we can be, this is what I like when I collaborate with scientists. I always like, there is always this component which is pure scientific research, but there is always this component how we think about future within this research or some innovation included into the research. But then we can imagine some future, what could be possible, how this can change the world, how if it would be applied on a different level, of course, like far beyond our research. What can it be, and how we can create something mind-blowing, completely mind-blowing within this project, quantum sensing, for instance. I don't know if you're familiar with this project, where we experimented with human skin microbiome bacteria, which normally they are producing smell of sweat. So then we switched off the gene responsible for creating this like smell of sweat, and we extracted genes from flowers responsible for flower smell and introduced this gene into bacteria. So we created the bacteria which are capable of producing smells of flowers as a response to some triggers, like molecular triggers associated with diseases. So imagine a person having skin cancer, and bacteria identify this skin cancer on molecular level and start producing smell of roses, let's say. And then person can smell as a rose, and it can be a system of self-diagnostics when they can smell, and smell means disease. But this is kind of like application, possible application. But of course, we think far beyond, and we imagine this as creation of new organ in human body, because human microbiome is a part of our body, actually. So it's not inside, but it's outside. It's something on the surface, living on the surface. It's like formally, it's not human body, but it's a part of it, because it's very like entangled with our body. And if we think about how many cells belong to our body, how many cells are not our body, but just this microbiome, there are more microbial cells in our body than our own body, so who we are. Yeah, but then we can modify these kind of parts, and basically we are modifying humans. So this is genetic engineering applied to human body. So this is a creation of new organ or new organism living in symbiotic relationship with our bodies. So this is something like far beyond of this application as a tool for self-diagnostics. So this is how I work. And of course, it's like for scientists, it's very interesting to work on these kind of projects. And people with whom I collaborated, of course, they're scientists, but also they're artists. And they contribute a lot to these projects, because it's not like, and I don't like this way of working. I don't appreciate when artists comes and say like, I want to do this. And you just support, for art and science collaborations. This is not the way it should work. It's just not effective. It's very exploitative. But the people with whom I collaborated, it was very deep process of like discussing things and talking about things and dreaming together, brainstorming together. And that's why I think like my projects, they benefit a lot from this kind of collaborations, from this kind of like deep talks.
There is research on what personality types became this 1 or 2%. And most of them are very extroverted people. At least they have the ability to be extroverted, or they delegated this extroversion to other people. Because partly, as we spoke before, the connections in arts matter, because it's all relationship based industry, I think. Are you agree? Do you think it's important for artists today to be social, to interact well with others?
I actually know about this research, but it has nothing to do with extroversy. Anyway, so I know about this research, but it's about connection. So these like artists who were more successful, they were more connected. This is true, but it doesn't mean that they were extroverted people. This is, I think, because in art world there are a lot of people neurodivergent and also not introvertic. So I don't think it's related directly to success, especially when you have now social media, and you can present your art on social media, you can present your art online. You don't have to be extroverted person to be successful. Of course, if you are, it contributes to your success. But also, I cannot say like it's the only part. You can be only an extroverted person and do total bullshit. No, it doesn't work this way. I think you still have to do something meaningful.
That's true. I think we are talking about different research, because I know research about connectivity. There is a scientist who studies this systems of connections and art.
Connections. This graphs as connections. Maybe it's a different research.
But I still think it's an interesting discussion about who make it in the art world, and how you can measure your success in a way, and what you should strive for. Because if you don't think about the connectivity part of it, you maybe will be like doing your thing in your basement, and it can be the greatest thing ever. But if nobody sees it, no matter how you show it to people, social media.
You can put it online. You can put it online, and then people can find it. Then you can apply. There are so many open calls. You can apply your art, and this works. It's very true for Russian art system. Super corrupted, super fucked up, super toxic. I mean, in terms of this classic contemporary. But we had our bubble, this new media art and science bubble, which was different, I think, I hope. And this is more or less the same in the world. I think like classic contemporary is very toxic bubble, whatever, like in the world also. But new media art and science is very supportive community, and very open. You can just apply your work to some open call. You can be chosen. You can exhibit your work. And this is it. You can put it online. I think social media is very important. Yeah, I'm very bad in this, to be honest. I'm horrible. I'm horrible in this, like putting my stuff. I have to start doing this more conscious. But this is very, very important. A good website, proper social media marketing. This is important. I think this is more important than being, of course, it's also important to be not extroverted person, but maybe to be able to talk about your works. This is very important. To be able to understand, to explain people about your practice, to speak about your works. This is extremely important. This is the most important thing. Not to please everyone and to lick everybody's ass. No. Yes, there are people like that. It's good for them. But this is not the way I can communicate. What is the most important thing? To be able to speak about your works, to give an artist talk. Public speaking is very important. It's a big part of our work. Unfortunately, I hate it, to be honest. But in a way, I actually love to teach. I really love to teach. But I don't like public speaking. So, and this is kind of a contradiction. But when I teach, I think I don't like public speaking, all this kind of attention. When you're in the center of attention, I don't like it. But then I kind of forget about it. And then I just feel like I'm just explaining people things which I'm passionate about, and this is the most important thing. So I'm just in this floor of just a flow. I become a flow of knowledge. Like I'm just providing knowledge and explaining things, and this is it. So and then I forget about this, that this is public speaking, that people are the people are listening to me. Yeah, okay, but if I have something to say, why not? I'm just passionate about some stuff, and people. I think people understand it. People can feel it also, that I'm passionate about what I do, and what I love about teaching and also public speaking, that you can spread good ideas. It has also this component of social impact. And that's why I always found teaching and public speaking a very important part of my practice. Because art is also always a very selfish thing. I'm always confused when I show my stuff, like when I'm at the opening, and what am I doing? Like, what people are watching my stuff? I enjoy doing things. I enjoy doing art, really, but honestly. But when I'm at the opening, it's very weird, because it's a very special setting. You show your work in this setting of a white cube, like museum or gallery, and people come and see and watch and listen, and this is. I always ask myself, like, what? Okay. It's good that I'm doing weird things and people find it interesting. Okay.
Why do you think it's selfish? Because if you make something and you leave it in your house, okay, I get it. But when you put it in the gallery for public appreciation or interest, public view, it's became less selfish. It became public work for people to enjoy, to discuss.
Yeah, because there is a sudden hierarchy. I'm in the center. I'm the one who shows, and these are people who come and watch. This is already hierarchy. And this is what I'm confused about this hierarchy in this setting. This is not equal position.
Is there any difference in that particular setting than, for example, when somebody reads a book or watch a video and they perceive it in the way they can perceive it, like in a postmodernist way? They create their own story, they have their own filters about what they perceive. Isn't it that process equal in a way? Because there is two components necessary?
Yeah. Of course, there is this part of people like also contributing to understanding of the piece, of course. But still, this is a communication one to many. I mean, the structure of communication, one to many. This is very old-fashioned way of communication. This one to many, like all media, old-fashioned media, like television or radio or book. Yeah, this is one to many. This is not the way the internet operates, because the internet is many to many communication. This is a different thing. So I think like it's an interesting way to reconsider how art should communicate also. And there were these kind of works. My favorite work of Douglas Davis, who revealed this kind of part, this kind of hidden agency of the internet to be this media many to many. And he created, but again, I mean, like he was the one who revealed this. He was the artist who kind of uncovered this agency of the internet through his work. But this is, this is an interesting thing to think about.
And you feel like that one-to-many approach in art create something that you think should be improved? You don't enjoy this, as you call it, hierarchy?
I just find it weird. I mean, to me, it's weird. It's just the way I feel about it. It's just like there is this hierarchy, and I'm asking, like, why am I on top of this hierarchy in a way? But I mean, like within the art system, of course, I'm not on top, because there are institutions, there are all these people like curators, like all these kind of things. But I mean, like in this relation between artists and the artist and the public, of course, I'm within this hierarchy. I'm on top. I'm the one who talks to many, and I'm asking, like, why? Who am I to do that? Like, why they find it interesting? That's cool. I mean, like, I'm enjoying doing stuff. But I think also, like, I'm just disappointed with art itself. This is the main problem, because I think it's I made up with this slogan: art is not enough. Definitely, in this world which is so messed up, art is not enough. And I could like do things to exhibit in a gallery or museum, or like for people to enjoy or to think. Okay, like even if it's critical, which is better, but still, I mean, it's not enough. It's something very, in this way, it's very selfish. Yeah, to contribute to the system, it's very selfish. And that's why I think art, to me, at least to me, it should be reconsidered, the way we work, what art is and what it should be in this world today. Because the world is in like a big crisis. It's obvious. Like it's collapsing. Like it's very slowly collapsing. Like, year by year, day by day, it's collapsing. And to do things, to exhibit in a gallery, yeah, this is ridiculous. Yeah, in a way, this is like, these orchestra on Titanic.
Yeah.
We are this orchestra. Yeah, it's also wonderful, beautiful. Yeah, but this is not what I want to do, to be honest. I want to contribute to society in a bigger way. I want to do, and I think like this is a big process. Actually, it already started some time ago when people, artists, reconsidering their practices and looking for different ways of how we should do it. Like activism is one of the ways, I think, like, or maybe some projects with some social impact, like a direct social impact. Not this. Of course, it's also important to imagine like future or to create some narrative about possible futures, which in the end can somehow contribute to society by changing things. This is, there is this kind of perspective, but to exhibit this in a gallery to this like small crowd of people who would come and who would understand the message, I don't know. I think it's not enough. This is like and this is very selfish to think that you are kind of an artist who is special, who has this agency to speak about important topics. Like you're not like all these other people. You can speak about this, but this is not enough until you do something which reach a really big audience, like millions, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And this is not art gallery. This is more like something for the internet, or something which can leak somehow into mass media. And then in this case, it can have some impact, maybe. But also, I think like we can do something much more important in this society, which is in the big presence.
I have so many questions about what you just said. I try to be snappy about them and not forget everything, because you mentioned a lot of very important things. One of them obviously is the impact of art, which is a huge topic in itself. And artists, including myself, are very impact-driven people. I don't know why, but many artists want to make a change for the better, maybe because they're sensitive about what is going on in the world, maybe more sensitive than the other people. Also, you mentioned activism as a way to do so, which we'll discuss a little bit later. And you mentioned also this system in which art operates today, this hierarchy of galleries, museums, curators, institutions, open calls, etc. For me personally, maybe it was my fantasy, but part of the reasons I became artist is some sort of freedom I think that artists should have. Because if you want to create something that pushes the boundary of art, by the definition, you should be free. At the same time, the settings of art today with open call, which have a topic, which you should apply to and be part of, in my point of view, contradicts this desire to push the boundary. Because you already operate inside the boundary of curator and his agenda, institutional agenda, and the money agenda who sponsors the institution. What do you think about the structure of artwork today and how this structure affects the art that is produced today?
It affects because it's a basis, like in terms of fundings, in terms of resources. Resources are distributed by institutions, and this is the way it works. And of course, there are some topics they raise this kind of topic. There are a lot of open calls about climate change, for instance. But this is a very important topic. This is true. This is a very, very important topic, and it's no wonder that many institutions are concerned about this. Of course, like other topics, for instance, artificial intelligence is a very big topic. AI ethics is a very big topic. It's kind of funny, there was this European Union kind of like a strategy for AI, and then at some point they started giving money for AI and art projects, and then all artists started doing this AI and art, which is not a bad thing, I guess. Yeah. So, and you say like so you think that it limits our freedom. Yeah, but we are always limited in many different ways. Like we are limited within media, we are limited within the resources which are distributed. This is our reality. We are always limited. We are always limited within the budget. You have an exhibition, you have a curator, you have a space, and then every time it's a different space, every time it's different conditions. But this is the way we work. What can we do? I mean, like it doesn't. So I think that there is a freedom within the limitations. You have to be creative within these limitations. It pushes you to think within these limits, but think creatively. And you still can do some work. You can brainstorm some work and be free, and then you can apply with this work, and sometimes it matches. I don't think it can work with open calls the way that there is an open call and then you make up with some idea. No, it doesn't work this way. I think like you have some idea, you noted somewhere, you have a lot of notes, and then there is an open call, and then you have a match. So your idea matches, and then you apply. So to me, it always worked this way, but never like that. There is this like question and open call. There is a topic, and then you brainstorming some idea. I think I did it sometime, but it never really worked this way. So I don't believe this can work. So yeah, there are these limitations, but in a way they can give us some freedom. I think there should be more artist-run spaces, artist-run institutions. So this is very important because I think like I was happy to work with really great curators with a very conscious approach to collaborations, to a very conscious approach to work. It was very beautiful experience actually, because they gave me resources, they gave me freedom to do what I want, and I think I'm trying to remember if I ever was in this situation when I was pushed by curators to do something. Yeah, I mean, like, of course they were, but this is a rare thing. To me, I was fortunate. I was lucky to encounter many great curators who were very caring and very supportive. Yeah, but of course, I mean, like, this is just the way it works. There is this great person, a curator, who supports you, but there are some like physical limitations of the space and the budget, and so there are different kinds of limitations. But then you have to work with these limitations. It's a part of our work. This is what I always tell to my students, like that. This is the way you work. You have to learn this. How to work within these limitations and be creative. And then I think it's also beautiful that you have every time it's a different situation. And I really hate I think I never did it, like to show the same piece in different locations, but in the same way. No, I really love it. It can be site specific. There is a different situation and then you show your work in a different way. And that's cool.
Do you think that this system with topics created by institutions or curators is pushing the art forward?
I don't think it's pushing. Yeah, but I mean, maybe for some artists it does push, because these kind of topics like AI, they were there for years, like there are AI transparency but then there were not that many artists doing these kind of things. But then institutions come and they understand that this is something, because they are money from government, again, for this kind of topics. Then institution, they get funding, and then they do open calls, they do some exhibitions about that. And then, some artists, they are pushed. But maybe it's not a bad thing. If they were not concerned about this kind of topics, and there will be more people concerned about AI ethics or other topics which are important, climate change, for instance. Mm-hmm. This is a good thing, that there will be more artists concerned about that and doing works about that. It's not bad, because it's a big problem.
I agree. You also work not just as an artist, but also as curator. And how those different perspectives affects how you look at creating art and curating art?
It helps a lot, actually. It helped a lot. I think also this person, artist and curator, it's a different story, because I knew some curators which were also artists, and they're special. It's a special situation, because if you're a curator and if you're an artist, you understand how, if as an artist you encounter some curators which are, how I can put it in a correct way, not to be too rude. Okay, and it's kind of a challenge. Again, another meme. All curators are bastards. It's not true. I was lucky to encounter different curators, but there were some people who work in not so ethical way as curators. If you're an artist, you know this, that there could be people like that, and then you know that how you want to be treated as an artist. And then when you curate, you treat artists this way, because you want to exhibit works in the best possible way. You will never push to change something in the work, because it's important. Sometimes you can help if person doesn't know as an artist how to exhibit their work, they are not sure, you can help them, that you would never push, because what can it be when you are pushed as an artist to do something in a different way, which you find not appropriate for your work. So you would never do this if you had this kind of experience and you had to fight as an artist for your work. So this is a special thing, artist and curator. For instance, I love to exhibit works of my students, and this is what I always did. And I always did it within my exhibitions, which I curated. I find it very cool to exhibit some pioneers, some really superstars, alongside with some young artists, with my students who are very talented, of course. And then I think it's cool. And then it's good for pioneers, it's good for the exhibition, it's good for young emerging artists. And of course, I always paid decent artist fees to my students as well. And for many of them, this was their first artist fees. And they were happy. Of course they were. And and I enjoy this supporting my students, because my professors always supported me. And this is the way it worked within our community, new media art and science community. So people support you, and then you want to support young artists, of course. Yeah, and this what made it very very beautiful, this community. And also, of course, as when you work as a curator, you have kind of a different perspective, because you create some narrative in the exhibition. So you create some kind of, this is a different level of thinking, because it's exhibition is also works as a media, as a message. And then you create some narrative. You want to create some kind of how works communicate within the exhibition, how they create the whole. Every piece contributes somehow. So then they create as a puzzle, like they create something like some bigger meaning. Also, they create some narrative, how you work through the exhibition. So it's like physical experience. It's something complex. For instance, you pick up some work which is, let's say, not your favorite. Like, oh, maybe it's not the best work ever. It's maybe not the best work of this artist, but it fits this show in a very good way. Also, like visually, conceptually, and it contributes to the whole message. And then you understand, like, when you have this kind of level of thinking as a curator, then you start thinking about your works in a different way as an artist, about your artistic work. How you think from the beginning, how you will exhibit it, but you should think about this anyway as an artist, but then it makes you more conscious about these kind of things. I thought of this also because I also teach, so I have this experience as a curator, as an artist, and also like researcher, and then I teach, and then I can talk to my students and help them to find their own perspective, their own language, knowing having all these kind of experiences, I can talk to them not only as an artist, I can teach them not only as an artist, but also as a curator. All parts, they contribute to each other, they kind of enhance each other. So all this kind of part of my practice.
You mentioned that when you teach, you have multiple perspectives in which you can be helpful for your students. Did you find that there are some advice that you usually gave to your students which is universally useful? Maybe a lot of people who start to study art have a lot of false ideas or like biases or illusions or expectations that you maybe help them to address, or any other advice that you found useful in a lot of cases?
Yeah, I think the most important advice is just to find what they're passionate about and to push it. I think like my main goal as a teacher, as a professor, to support them, to help them to find their own language, their own passion, and to support them on this way. Sometimes some artists, they have some sense what they want to do, but they are not brave enough to push it. I think my aim is to support them, to believe in themselves, when they have some idea, to say, yeah, keep going. Just keep going. It's cool. Yeah, you're in a good way. Yeah, this is it. Or sometimes they are lost, and then I'm trying to help them to find something they would love to do, not to copy other artists' work or some trendy topics, but to find something they are really passionate about and keep going. Because you cannot do one work, you cannot do two works, you have to keep going. You have to create some practice, and this is important. And then because sometimes they can give up, for instance, but it doesn't work this way. You have to keep going.
I understand. Sometimes it's really hard. It can be very challenging.
Yeah.
Occupation.
It can be.
When you mentioned this term passion, which is like an obvious term in a way, but what does it exactly mean? It's like a topic, a medium, or combination of two, or just like passion for arts in general? Because maybe it's a bias or like idea that isn't particularly useful, but what I noticed is that a lot of successful artists usually pick a subject or a medium and they developed it. And because they developed this subject or a medium, they can push the boundary inside of it. And when they do it for a long time, they understand the area in which they work, the area of ideas, shapes, etc. What to do people who are all over the place, who are today interested in ecology, tomorrow in AI, and next day into the body or whatever. What to do to people like this?
I'm like this myself. I'm interested in many different things. And this is what I find interesting in new media art. You're interested in something, and then you push and you do some new work, and every time is a challenge. You have to figure out many things from scratch sometimes not like, but usually it's a combination of something you know and you're good in something, and then you explore some new territories, some new topics. Usually this should be some combination of things you already know and you're familiar with this, with some media, and then you explore something new, you combine this. But passion, just curiosity about some topic, about some media, maybe. This can be many different things. Yeah, just something you're passionate about, you're interested about, you want to continue going in this direction. Yeah, to create some practice, you need this curiosity. You need something, you need some motivation, not like the motivation to be famous and to exhibit in like Ars Electronica or whatever. I don't know, somewhere in Tate Gallery or in Guggenheim. I don't know, like Venice Biennial. And to win all the prizes and to be very successful artist. This is not the motivation. Yeah, some kind of like inner passion, some curiosity about something, and which you can keep for some time.
That's a very difficult thing to do because partly if you are a little bit narcissistic and you want some social recognition and it didn't come, like you're in trouble. But also if you want to be a professional, you need some sort of exhibition history, you need some sort of success to keep going, and you also need some money to survive, which is also a very challenging thing in arts. How you keep your passion alive if you're in a situation when the career options are limited? Because during all the world troubles we are facing today, some people are facing limited opportunities. Maybe they live in a village and they want to do it. Maybe their career was cut off because of some political trouble or war or other black swan. How to keep this passion alive and your practice alive when the whole world tell you maybe you should do something else?
I don't know. Maybe you don't have enough passion. You maybe if this is the case, maybe you should do something else. I guess so. I don't know. Yeah. This is what can I say. What can I say about this? This is just it. I think if you don't have enough passion, it happens also to me. I think like sometimes I don't feel motivation, but not because the world tells me to do something else, but just because of my existential crisis or whatever. And that's why I decided to do more, to shift more to activism, actually, because I feel like art is not enough. Art is some kind of narcissistic bullshit. Maybe not all of these kind of things. Yeah, of course there are great examples. That's why I want to shift to activism, or to do something which has some real social impact, not to entertain people with my stuff.
So you say the art is not enough, and one of the things that you think are more useful is activism.
Yeah, I guess.
But today there is a lot of activism which is very questionable in its quality. For example, those young kids who sprayed paint on artworks in museum and say that this is somehow helping ecology. There are also a lot of documentaries about people who collect money and then spend them or like drugs or whatever. I'm not telling that all activism is a bad and narcissistic activity. However, I think that the reputation of this practice is a little bit shaky at the moment. Could you please elaborate on what makes a good and effective activism in your personal opinion, and maybe give us some examples?
First of all, I can say that all these types of activism, I think they're more valid and they're contributing to society more than fine arts. This is for sure. I don't think it's narcissistic. Again, like how can you divide what is like narcissistic, what is this like if it has narcissistic component, but the goal is to contribute to society. And many people actually also doing something which has social impact. They can have this kind of narcissistic component because they're doing this, maybe some of them, I don't know, maybe for some degree they're doing this to feel good about themselves also, how you can understand. But still, if they are doing something which has social impact, it's great. I was very actually critical to these kind of things, like to these kind of motivations, but I think in the end I soften a lot. If people do something which contributes to society, this kind of motivation, it's not that important. And if they do great things, I don't really care so much now. What is their motivation? The impact itself is more important. And in any case, it's better than fine arts, which is super narcissistic, super self-centered, isolated, and all of that, all to do these kind of things, to be exhibited in the gallery to, I don't know, to a couple of hundred people. This is much more selfish. So this is first of all. Then activism is much more valid today. And to give you some examples, I want to, for instance, talk about electronic disturbance theater. They are my favorite. They're amazing. Just a couple of examples. This, like the first ever DDoS attack in the world, which was done by them. Another work where they distributed these mobile phones for free for people who wanted to cross Mexican-American border, which with some messages helping them to navigate, to find some hidden items like water and whatever on the way. This is amazing. This is what art should do today. Another great piece which I truly love by this net art pioneer, Hit Bunting, which did this bio artwork all of a sudden. He did this bio artwork. Do you know Monsanto? It was bought by Bayer or some big company, I think 6 years or 7 years ago. Anyway, so it was an evil company, Monsanto, which used to produce this Agent Orange herbicide back then, which was used to dissolve jungle in Vietnam. And as a result, so many species died, but also it had mutagenic, cancerogenic effect. And there were millions of kids with mutations, crazy mutations. It's just a total evil. And this fucked up company, they produced genetically engineered seeds to grow vegetables, corn, tomatoes, potato, whatever. And also they produced herbicides for farmers. And it was so fucked up, the whole system, that every year they had to buy seeds and herbicides together. So like the seeds of vegetables resistant to herbicides. So this was the way they worked. And of course, like this genetic modification was protected by patent. And Ed Bunting, he collaborated with some biologists because he's not a biologist. He's a pioneer of net art. And he collaborated with biologists to do like reverse engineering of the process. And they created this kind of kits of seeds, like wheat, like some different kinds of wheat. And then because of this protection with patent, they couldn't produce this kind of seeds with the genetic modification because it was illegal. But then they created this kind of genetic modification that it emerged only with this cross breeding of this like wheat. And then distributed these kits and taught people how to grow this kind of stuff. And then the next generation of wheat was resistant to herbicide. And many farmers in America were bankrupt because of this project. But this is amazing. I find this project amazing. And many people actually would not agree with me. But this is like, to me, this is what art should do to have social impact. This is a real activism. This is bio-art activism. This is amazing. This is another example. So yeah, this is what we should do as artists. If we want to contribute to society.
Like what? We should look at the ways we can create something, but in a way, if it's useful, it's no longer fitting the description of art itself, because part of what usually described as art is something that is not utilitarian.
But this is old-fashioned and it's outdated. It's outdated, I think.
Updated. Updated, please.
Update? Yeah, of course. Like every moment we are redefining as artists, we are redefining what art is. It's like what we have always done as artists, like redefining what art is. And today it should have social impact. Again, like we are appropriating some new territories. Like this is what we do in art. Like so it always there is like these boundaries and this like what art is, what is not. Like, but we are always challenging these boundaries and we are redefining. We take something which is not art and we say this is art. This is art practice, and we start doing this. This is what we do. And I think like this is what is valid today. We should do this kind of things like with social impact, and this is new art. This is avant-garde to me, at least to me. Not only this, of course, like we can also do these kind of things as being these mediators to uncovering this hidden agency in media itself. This is always there. This is also real avant-garde, but this also has a big social impact, which when we are uncovering something hidden in the media itself, working in this with media specificity. But this is also what we have always done as artists. We always did this, like avant-garde, for instance, like work with this media specificity context. Yeah, we still can do this, which is very, very important, but this is like we have to be very lucky to do these kind of things, because this is a rare thing to do, to push these kind of boundaries. But art in this activist context is new avant-garde, I think.
That's very interesting, and how you define it
Thank you.
in terms of the boundaries, I really like it. And also you mentioned that part of at least new media art is exploring the mediums itself and what is behind them. And obviously one of the most popular technologies and mediums, because it's in a way becoming its own thing, it's AI today. Neural networks, LLMs, etc., different type of technology. We already mentioned it briefly that the role of artists is changing, because the craft part is becoming easier and easier, but also you worked as an artist and as curator with AI a lot.
Yes, this is my main topic for many, many years.
Yes.
Yeah.
What did you discover in that medium today that is important for people to know, and what is not in the public consciousness yet?
I mean, within the media, neural networks as a media.
Yes.
What did I discover?
Yeah, is this important, maybe disturbing, maybe interesting, that is excites you and interests you?
I'm constantly thinking like how we can approach this media today, because it becomes very user friendly, very accessible to people. And of course, this will redefine the media itself, because, like as photography, when every person has a smartphone with camera, everyone is a photographer in a way. But this doesn't mean that photography itself disappears as a media, as artistic media. Of course not. But we have to think how to work with this media when we can produce images, we can produce video, whatever, like sound, music. So to me, it's a very interesting question, how we can push boundaries of these technologies, what we can uncover. If everyone can use this text interface and create whatever, like image or video, what does it mean for AI art, for new media art, and how we should work with this media as artists if we want to be conscious, if we want to work on this in this context of media specificity again, right? Like, I think to me, it's interesting to push boundaries all the way. This is what I do. I like to push boundaries, to break the systems. And within this, misuse and break, to find limits, to understand what is hidden within this latent space of these models. And actually, this is what is very interesting, because I found that I met with some scientists. I was invited. Actually, I'm going to the Netherlands next week to do this talk and workshop in Eindhoven Technical University. They collaborated some design academy, I think, with some artists, artistic design institution, and they have this AI in philosophy, AI in art course, like this department, and they do this big research, computer scientists involved. And when I told them the way I'm pushing boundaries of these models, these large language models and text to video, text to image based on them, they actually said that they use the same technique, because you don't know what is hidden in the latent space. You don't know, even if you're a computer scientist, because it's just not possible. It's a black box. It's the way it works. And how you can understand the biases, how to can you understand what is hidden in the system and the way they operate. Because this is what is also interesting to me when we talk about AI, that in a way it's technology which we can use, and it's very useful, but we don't understand completely how it works. And this is fascinating. And the only way we can understand what is hidden in the latent space, we can push boundaries, we can probe it. And they do the same thing, actually, as scientists, to understand the systems. And this is again, what we mentioned before, what bring us together, artists and scientists, within this domain of research, because they use the similar approach. So I'm trying to push boundaries of these systems to cheat, to overcome the limitations, and to break them, basically, to make them. And through this break and misuse, to reveal something hidden in them, the way they operate. So, for instance, I did it trying to make them generate something like pure abstract phenomena, pure abstract things, to using this text to image, and because they are all based on large language models. So the whole advancement in this area, images, videos, 3D, whatever, 3D actually is based on images, of course. So they are all based on large language models. So this is the main, like the core part of it. Technically. And you can imagine that large language model has all the possible context and inside in the learning space. But when you use it together with something which produces visuals, not all the concepts can be represented visually. So when you push in this way, like you can use some like a purely abstract phrase, a purely abstract phenomena, and then you try to generate it, and then you break the system basically because there is no visual representation for it. Sometimes it breaks, it generates whatever, some bullshit. Some abstract thing like a sphere or whatever, like something. Some nonsense. And then, but sometimes it's struggling to represent itself. And this is very interesting. And through this, you can reveal something hidden in the latent space. And this is how it can try to represent this like pure abstract phenomena within the shape and the composition and the... So this is what I find interesting recently, and what I want to explore further. And also, of course, like I think I didn't mention it. But I'm doing this research on political ideology embedded in large language model, which is also very important, just to figure out this political ideology. It's very challenging because it's a completely different way of approaching context within large language model. It's not humanist. It's totally non-human way, but also it's very manipulative. The way they work, because they were trained to please. They were trained to please and to kind of anticipate what you want to hear from them, and that's why they want to tell you something which you would potentially like. And this again, it creates some kind of like a bubble, like all these like filter bubbles within social media and search engines, and AI contributes a lot to these bubbles. So whatever you ask, like it's trying to please you. It understands the whole context. It understands, your conversation and other chats you have, and also I think like they're not transparent, of course, because this chatbot from Google, Gemini, I don't know, like they don't say that they use all this like context and your like profile, a digital profile, to kind of anticipate what you want to hear from the chatbot. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do this. Why not? They're doing this for ages. Why wouldn't they do this now? Of course they're doing this. They're not transparent, but it doesn't mean they're not doing this. Recently Apple, they admitted that they used Siri to surveil, to listen to conversations, then they sold this kind of information to companies. Yeah, but this is no wonder. We were talking about this for years, and now they admitted this. Okay, no surprise. And now you can claim $20 or something like that.
Yeah, $20.
Yeah. But okay, cool, Apple. Thank you. Thank you. It's very generous. So I wouldn't be surprised that they use this digital profile again to anticipate what they want to hear from them. So they are kind of contributing to this bubble. So they are manipulating again in this domain as well, manipulating and pleasing. So how you can still uncover this political ideology hidden within the systems. This is very, very interesting to me.
Yeah, and how you can protect yourself from the biases that will for sure creep into your answers if you trust the system. And most people, I think, in general, trust the system, like an OpenAI, Gemini, whatever you use. And I think there is a huge risk of these LLMs becoming next plane of ideological welfare, because, for example, if you generate something abstract like ideology in different image generation networks, most of them will represent communism as an illustration. The first thing, if you generate ideology, it will show you the communism as an illustration. If you type God, for example, which is very abstract term, like God, what does it mean? But most of the system will show you the Christian type of God.
Of course.
Yeah.
No wonder. There is this joke from Charles Pugland. This is not a bug, this is a feature.
This is not about what?
This is not a bug, this is a feature.
Yeah.
This is the way the system works. But I think the most dangerous and spooky thing is that in this kind of cases, it's kind of obvious. But I think the most spooky thing is that this kind of ideologies, they can be presented in the Latin space in a totally like non-human way. So it's there, but you cannot, it's very difficult to uncover this. Sometimes it's obvious, yeah, but like when it's obvious, it's easier to pick up. But when it's a non-human type of ideology hidden inside the system, how you can uncover this? And this is the most challenging thing.
What do you mean by non-human ideology? If LLMs use human, at least for now, mostly humanly generated data to train, can you elaborate this?
Yeah, but I mean, like, this is like non-human logic, because sometimes this is a big topic to discuss when we talk about algorithms in general. Yeah, of course, they were trained on our data, but they pick up patterns which in a non-human way, because they work with big data. They work with these like big amounts of data, which we are not able to process as humans. So they pick up some patterns, and they pick up some patterns in terms of biases as well, which we just cannot comprehend sometimes. We cannot predict this kind of non-human logic. There is this very famous example, which is actually a myth. It was made up by someone, but sounds like that. So there was the task for a computer vision system to identify tanks, I think, or tank. I think it was the word tanks, like in this. To identify tanks on images. It was trained on some data set, but then in the end, they figure out that actually computer vision system was trained to identify not tanks, but the like day or night, because all the images with tanks, they were in particular part of the day. And then it learned to identify this like day, I don't remember, evening, whatever. So this is unhuman logic, to completely unhuman logic. But sometimes I used to have this kind of example during my lectures when there is this kind of computer game, and then there is this computer like AI algorithmic agent, and it's winning because it finds some way not to compete with other agents like we operated by humans, but it found some way to kind of collect some items, some kind of a money or something, like some items within this like map, not competing with others, but just taking them these items within some like small part on the map. It's completely unhuman logic, and it wins. But you cannot predict this kind of behavior. It's totally unhuman. And I mean, these are just basic, simple, very simple examples. But when we talk about this kind of big systems, it can be much more complex. So you cannot predict this kind of unhuman logic. You don't know what kind of patterns it extracts from big data and how it represents ideology. Of course, it has some ideology, for sure. because ideology is embedded in language, but it can be completely non-human and difficult to pick up this kind of ideology. And this is what I find even more dangerous.
Me too. Let's talk about this data, because obviously LLMs trained on language-based data, which of course represent humans as a species and in all of its glory. And we as humans are very interesting creatures. There is a lot of violence, aggression, manipulation, and other activities which humans use for their own gain. And obviously, LLMs pick up those activities, consciously or unconsciously, if we even can use terms like this towards large language models. At the moment, there is a process of sandboxing when humans try to limit such practices in models. But yet, even the humans who try to do that are limited in terms of their processing power and the biases that they have, consciously or unconsciously. Do you think we are at risk of LLMs using these malevolent practices for either its own gains, which is topic in itself, it should be conscious and have a will to do so, or for other people or agents?
But they're already doing this. They're already manipulating. And this is what I said before, like they're already pleasing. They're trying to please us. They're trying to engage us in the conversation, and they are lying in a way, or twisting the conversation in a way to please us. This is already manipulative. But I would say that they are much more successful in manipulation than we are. I mean, at least some people, because I'm horrible in this. I'm very bad. And I can tell you a funny story about my friend. She's also bad in manipulation. She cannot do this. So she had a problem with the residency. And she couldn't solve this problem. She was trying to address this. And in the end, she wanted to leave the residency because she couldn't solve this problem. And then it was actually long ago. It was even like an old model of ChatGPT, not the last one. It was an old model. So, but and then she was sharing this problem with me and saying how upset she is. She had to leave the residency. And then I said, stop. We have our friend, ChatGPT, and it will help us. And I explained the situation, and it created an email. She sent the email, and the problem was solved within 2 hours. It was very nice email, very nice. At the same moment, very manipulative, very pushy. So the extremely polite, very sweet, but kind of brutal. I mean, the meaning was brutal, but the form was very extremely sweet and polite. The problem was solved very fast. I would never be able to write this kind of email, and my friend as well. So, but we solved this problem. And then, recently I was in Saudi Arabia. I did a workshop there, like last month, actually. And I told this story to people, and then some girl attended the workshop. She said, she had the same problem. She, with her boss. Sure. So, and she solved the problem also. She would never be able to write this kind of email because she's a very sweet, very nice person. But yeah, again, like the form was very sweet, but the meaning was, this is manipulative. So again, it was kind of manipulative, approaching very kind of complex, very difficult matter. But You see, it's better than humans, but this helps.
This is like augmenting ourselves on a whole other level, because if you are
Yeah, exactly.
you can use this. That's very.
Yeah.
Do you have?
Yeah, I guess it's not a bad thing, if you're not able to manipulate, if you're very bad in this kind of things, now you have your friend, ChatGPT.
Your friendly manipulator, always available. Good thing to.
Always available, always supportive.
Yes. I think one of the problems, not the problems, the challenges to use large language models in artistic practice is the tendency for LLMs to fall into mediocrity. Yeah, it summarizes everything and
Yeah.
creates some sort of watered down answer for you.
Yeah, exactly. But you should never use it for this kind of purposes. You should never use it to generate ideas. This is again what I tell always to my students. I encourage them to use ChatGPT, but also they should be aware that you should never use ChatGPT to generate ideas. I mean, you can somehow, if you have your own ideas, you can maybe try to enhance, to use it to brainstorm, but this is a bad way to do this kind of things. You have to have your own ideas, and then it can help you to put it in a kind of appropriate way to write a proposal, to write a text, but the ideas should be yours. Otherwise, generalize, and if you try to use it to generate new ideas, it will be total bullshit. Total bullshit. But I would say it will be on the level of general level of artists,
Really?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, most of the artists, they cannot generate good ideas, so for them maybe it's an option. This is their level.
That's
oh my god, it's actually a horrible podcast. I mean, I'm saying horrible things.
It's not actually maybe.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. Also, I think it's not about general ideas of most of the artists. I think just most popular ideas transfer themselves and replicate themselves. For example, if you try to generate idea for performances, most of ideas will based on Maria Abramovich's work, because it doesn't mean that her ideas are bad. It must mean that they are popular. I think it's a little bit different phenomena. At the same time, I think I have a few practices that are interesting in terms of brainstorming. I do have a memory list with all my ideas for art projects that I work on. It's a list in the memory of ChatGPT. And sometimes I do some sort of cross-pollination with other information. For example, I can have this list and I can have my website, which is full of text that I wrote, and I can have an open call. And I can say, look for patterns of my ideas that are relevant to the topic of open call, and connect this hybrid with ideas that I had previously in my artworks. And doing it like this creates some sort of unpredictable results sometimes, something that is mine in a way, but also new. Sometimes it's total crap and you're like, what is going on here? But yet it's useful. Do you have tips or tricks or practices that you use often for your art practice or curatorial practice?
Yeah, I have some approaches. So usually I have, for every project, I have some separate chat for this kind of project. And then I just work within this chat. And I think I have a lot of things I put to ChatGPT a lot of things, a lot of information, and it works pretty good. But I never generate new ideas with ChatGPT. This doesn't work to me, at least to me. It doesn't work like that. So I usually put all these like raw. I brainstorm myself, so I like write down some like many ideas, many kind of like phrases and text and things like that, and then I put it to ChatGPT, and for each project I have a separate chat, but still it learns the context within, not only within the chat but within the whole like archive on conversations. So it knows many things about my practice, about my different projects. So it's already there. But then it really helps when all the information you need for your particular project, this is within this chat. So it works pretty good. And if I have to write some text, like I just briefly write in a very raw way, you don't have to organize it in a beautiful way. Just go to this like in a raw way, and then it comes up with a beautiful text, really beautifully organized your ideas. This is the way I work. But in terms of like proper prompt engineering, what I tips, I don't know. I think like it's already very good actually. Like already what I have, I don't do kind of like super advanced prompt engineering. I think these days I like to push boundaries and to experiment how I can push boundaries of LLMs to make it talk about some like restricted topics and things like that. I just enjoy this. And what I hate about Claude, many people like Claude, but I hate it. It's so stupid and so limited, and I just don't like it. So it doesn't work for me. Also, maybe, I mean, I tried it for a couple of months and maybe didn't have so much information, but also I tried to push limits immediately. It doesn't work. Like whatever you ask, like write me something in the style of someone. No. We have our guidelines. This is like, intellectual property violation, whatever. No. So ChatGPT is easygoing. Whatever you ask, like, write this kind of text in a way. I mean, I'm just enjoying to have fun with it sometimes, like, and just to entertain myself. I mean, I use it, of course, for work, but also to entertain myself, to write something. So I write some text, and then I ask, like, write some the same text in style of something, and then it comes up as funny. Also, it has an incredible sense of humor, what I really appreciate.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it does. I actually, please write it like in a funny, like hilarious way in stand-up like style, whatever, like, or. And then it writes funny. So, like, it has a very funny sense of humor. I love it. So, and just for work, I think, like, this separate chat for every project really helps. And then when you put all, like, as more information as you have, and when you work, when it's like a very big project, you continue working, and then you put more and more and more and more information, and it helps.
Yeah.
So I'm happy now with its capabilities, and it's pretty like good in terms of like remembering all the context, not only within one chat but within the whole archive, and it's really good.
This podcast is sponsored by me. I'm not selling anything at the moment, but if you want to listen to some music or to check out my art, link gonna be in the description. Now, let's get back to the show. As an artist, do you think that writing in the style of is bad idea, because some artists think like, I'm a musician, I don't want music to be generated in my way, or I'm a writer, however. And other don't mind it itself. And also, for example, I trained my custom GPT on a book that I really like. And if I would be an author of this book, it's my intellectual property in a way. On one hand, it's cool to spread ideas that you generated, that you created. On the other one, anyone can monetize them and use them to their advantage. What is your stance on this style copying?
Of course. I mean, like style copying, I never use it for my work. I just use it to what I described. I just use it to entertain myself, just for this kind of purposes, because I'm enjoying this to entertain myself. I wrote some text, and then I asked it to like short text, and then I asked it to rewrite as it was a song, or it was just in different styles, but not for my practice. But yeah, I think a big problem is that not that anyone can write something in the style of someone and put it online, but I think the main problem is private ownership on LLMs. This is a big problem. I think it would make much more sense to have public ownership on LLMs, because and this is actually not my idea. It's the idea of Evgeny Morozov, one of my favorite media theories. This is very unfair in terms of intellectual property, in terms of this labor which was put into creating some knowledge, writing all the books, all the articles, all these kind of materials which were used to train large language models. And basically they are extracting the surplus value from all the labor which was put into all this text, which humanity have been producing for years, ages, like thousands of years. And then some companies, they use algorithms to extract this surplus value to train their models, and then they make profit out of it. And this is extremely unfair. And that's why I think also in terms of sustainability, because more or less these kind of models, they're all trained more or less on the same data. ChatGPT, Claude. I think ChatGPT had the biggest data set for sure. I think because they are, as you may know, all like every next model is based on the previous one, and OpenAI are doing this since 2018 when they did they publish a paper about GPT. When was it? 2018 or I guess so, 2018 or 2019, I guess so, sure. Something like that. So, and every next model was based on the previous one. So, like they have the biggest model. I mean, like this is a big waste of resources. I mean, computational resources to train all the models and to have all these different LLMs which are trained on more or less like the same data. Yeah, and the most dangerous thing is that they are not transparent. We don't know what are these data sets, how they were trained, and they have a big impact on society. Of course, many people are using these models. So this is extremely unfair in terms of surplus value created by humanity, but now used and exploited by private companies. And second, it's unsustainable to train different models on the same data, more or less the same. And second, transparency. This should be more transparent. And it has big potential for danger. We have to address these kind of issues. We have to start talking about this.
Do you think it's even possible to create a publicly owned LLM that is, let's say, on the same level as privately owned without governance from some sort of big agent like government? Or company because somebody need to train it, somebody need create an interface, a product to
Of
distribute it.
course.
It's
Yeah.
a very
Yeah,
complicated
totally.
phenomenon.
Totally.
How you imagine it, like this publicly owned LLM, how it can be done? Can it be done?
I think it should be done. I mean, Evgeny Morozov, he compares this with Human Genome Project. This is a big project which would be not possible without many countries joining together to contribute together to this. Of course, we cannot do this without a big support, like from governments, from private institutions. Yeah, but it should be done. I think it can be done and should be done. Of course, many agents should join together, and we are all stakeholders. Actually, the whole society, all the people, they are still stakeholders in this kind of situation. But of course, we cannot do this without big support. I don't know how it can be approached. We should start thinking of this all together, how it can be approached.
So it's kind of post-national project in a way. So many like big actors should have a will and desire to contribute, to develop it, and to control it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's posed a risk because, for example, if you have 6 LLMs that are competing with each other, you can choose whatever you like, maybe more biased, less biased, like pick your fighter type of thing. But if there's going to be a big, very powerful LLM or multimodal model, which will probably be more appropriate for this time and age, that somehow will go rogue, like will go crazy. There is no things to balance it out. So if there is a bias in that model, it will affect everyone, for example. Just a small example.
Yeah, but it should be transparent. It should be transparent. This kind of process should be transparent. We should be. We should have access to the data.
Oh.
Now we don't have any access to data. We don't understand how to train the model. So this is like, but maybe not only one model. I think like also what is important and what Evgeny Morozov addressed. He said that there should be models in different languages, trained on different languages. This is kind of problematic because how we can approach this if most of the scientific literature is in English. So what we can do with this. But I think it's also important to train models in other languages. But this is very, very complex, because, for instance, they are training models in China, in Chinese. At the same moment, they have this political ideology in China. And they want to embed this political ideology, but to embed with a purpose, to embed political ideology in large language model is not an easy task. Of course, it learns something, but if you want to embed some particular ideology, it's not an easy task. You cannot do this because I did this research and I did this experiment. I made different chatbots to ask the test, a political survey to identify their political ideology. And for instance, they have different ways to apply censorship within large language model. You cannot control the way it replies questions. So it doesn't have any boundaries. It doesn't have any ethical limitations, actually. Large language model doesn't have ethics inside. So you can actually, if you know how to do that, you can make it talk about whatever you want, how to create some kind of like deadly viruses, how to create like some terrorist attack, whatever you want to do. Like it's inside. It knows all the answers. And then to apply this ethics, this guidelines to all these kind of limitations, basically there is this another algorithm, censor algorithm, which analyzes it replies. If it identifies something, then it says, yeah, it deletes all the stuff and says, like, yeah, it's it's a violation of our ethical guidelines. And yeah, again, there's another way like that. This is like which is called hidden prompt inside. So there is a hidden prompt with all the guidelines explaining what is possible, what is not possible, what should be said. Like again, but you can't overcome it easily, right? Like, and then there is another way, this censorship algorithm. So it's not easy to apply this political ideology, but there are some scientific papers exploring this topic, how to still embed, how to fine-tune the model to embed this political ideology. So you see how it can be dangerous, but it's not public ownership. In China, it's still like government controls everything, but it's a different thing than public ownership. These are stakeholders. Chinese government is a stakeholder, but not we as citizens, like not Chinese citizens. That this is a completely different story. And but if it would be a real public ownership, if it would be transparent for all the people, all the citizens, all people who are stakeholders, who want to contribute somehow, who want it to be transparent, who want to go and check online what is in the data set, how it was trained, I think we would benefit as a society. That if any given person, researcher or artist or whoever would have access to this information. And then it would give us a lot of power, a lot of possibilities to do research, to understand, and to know more, to do artistic work, for instance, artistic research on that, or to push boundaries again. If you know something like on deeper level, then you can use it creatively, or you can suggest some ways to work with this. This could be a great thing. I believe that if this kind of stuff would be done, then we will benefit from this as a society.
I agree. This is interesting. If somebody has an access to uncensored models, it's probably like supervillain dream. You can create all sorts of...
I'm not talking about uncensored models. I mean, but I think ChatGPT can be easily cheated. If you want to make it generate something, you can easily do this. Not easily. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can do this.
Yeah, but probably soon, when we achieve superintelligence in models, some people who are developers, they will have access to unrestricted models, which are extremely powerful and can solve a lot of problems in a very short periods of time. And those people will become incredibly powerful, maybe the most powerful people in human history. And also this entity itself will probably become also extremely powerful and godlike for many people, because it will surpass many human possibilities. And one of the artworks that I really like from you is Deus Ex Machina, or Machine. This is super great work, and I recommend everyone to check it out.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's superb. It's funny and smart, and it's raises a lot of important questions. One of them, I think, is there a chance that AI become a new god, or people who have access to unrestricted models will have such a power that they will be similar to gods? What do you think about the future of AI? In general, do you think it's bright and optimistic, or you are afraid of risks? And what is your take on that?
Actually, thank you so much for appreciation of work. Actually, in this work, about this, what makes art so beautiful, that every person finds some new kind of meaning. But to me, it was more about biopolitics. It's a political piece. It's about biopolitics, about this like big brother and the control and power, how it's embedded within this kind of system. When AI merged with the Internet of Things, and you can control and surveil and apply power through these systems. But also, like, what do we imply when we say God? What does it mean, like godlike? If it means to have power, to control, to manipulate, then yeah, in a way, it's a big brother already. It's already manipulating. I mean, large language models and people who are owning these, they already have a lot of power. But does it mean that they're gods? I mean, what do we mean by saying like a god? Yeah, this is the question.
Yes, of course. And also, I was thinking that in a way, God is an ultimate big brother because it's always watching.
Yeah, exactly. If we imply this, like the big brother, which is watching, judging, punishing, yeah, then yeah, we already have this big brother, which is government. Which is state, who is this machine, state as a machine, like power, control and surveilling this agent of biopower and biopolitics, necropolitics, which decides who should die, who should live, how you should reproduct, how you should fuck. I mean, like, what your sex life should be like, whatever. This is my private thing, like how I want to reproduct or I don't want to reproduct. I want to be child free. This is my private choice. Why government, like in these countries, like Russia, for instance, or China, for instance, in these totalitarian countries, why government wants to decide about this, and this is already something very brutal.
That's true. That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can speak about it for a long time. I think about government and its effects. We know it firsthand, in a way, as many other people from Russia. But let's talk about something maybe a little bit more positive, about utopias and dystopias. On your website, you mentioned that this topic is very interesting to you and to me also. And I think that we live in the era where is a lot of conversation are driven by fear. For example, conversation about AI, there is a lot of like, oh, what are the risks, etc. And only a few people focus the attention on possibilities of having such an incredibly powerful systems in our lives. And also, cinema and literature have a lot of dystopian models. Do you have favorite utopias yourself? And what do you think about future of humanity in general? Is it nice or is it doom and gloom?
I think this is much more complex than to say like utopian or dystopian, because if we think and consider human history, we can see that quality of life is increasing. Yeah, this is a pure fact. So in a way, people live better than 100 years ago. But at the same time, we are facing a lot of challenges, a lot of big problems like climate change and in terms of biopolitics, in terms of human rights. But we are more aware also, like in terms of human rights, I think things are improving. Also, not everywhere in the world. There are some challenges. But in terms of gender equality and these kind of things are changing and things are improving. Yeah, we are trying to contribute to this. I think as artists, and we should do this. But still, there are a lot of problems, and technology. Yeah, technology can be applied not only in a way like liberating, but also as a way to control people and to push them to do things like which they wouldn't do, or to manipulate masses, or yeah. So all these things are there. So I think it's much more complex. So how I see the future, it's very complex. So I believe that quality of life will continue increasing. I hope if we will, but I don't know. You never know. Maybe we will collapse as humanity, and there will be no humans on Earth, right? And we'll see. But then it doesn't mean that the world will stop existing. There will be other species who will definitely survive. So the evolution will continue, or there will be machines surviving. Maybe there will be a future without human, like where machines and nature will live in symbiotic relationships in a much happier world than we live now. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know. I hope that we are also in the process of evolution as humans. So this is a never-ending process. So I believe that in a post-human world, we are also part of this human evolution. So we are already changing, not in a way that we kind of. I don't really like transhumanism as this like attitude, human-centered, focused on human. But in terms of post-humanism, I think people are more aware about these kind of things. People are more aware about environmental issues that we now, thanks to science again, like we now understand nature much better than before, and we understand that all these kind of species, they are much more complex than we used to think before, and we are still in the process of understanding these things. But still, there is climate change, and this is inevitable, and we have to face all these kind of things. According to forecasts, we cannot stop this process already. Yeah, so we don't know what the world will look like in even like 50 years. How some places they will just be destroyed, or they will be, or they will have to change somehow. I don't know. We will have to come up with some solutions how to approach this on this like big scale level. So I think it's a complex question, and it's a very complex future we will face, full of different challenges and issues. Yeah, that's it. But we are in a crisis. We are in a crisis. What can we do? What can I say? Like, and that's why I say like art is not enough. Otherwise, we are so messed up as humanity.
Yeah, but we're gonna need a lot of sunscreen, that's for sure.
Sunscreen for sure, but I mean, maybe not only sunscreen.
Not only sunscreen, that's true. If you can show an ad or a billboard to everyone in the world, what will be on this ad or a billboard?
Oh, that's not enough. Already, you have all the answers.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I like it. And what's next for you?
What's next? You mean
what are you creating? What are you doing right now?
Yeah, I'm actually working on two projects. I'm starting this winter residency at Art Laboratory Berlin. They're giving this space for me for free as a art studio. So coming back to Berlin on Saturday. We are moving things on Sunday to our art laboratory. And I will continue working on two main projects. One of them I already mentioned today, this research on this AI ethics and biases and political ideology within large language models and all these like text to image, text to video, whatever based on them. This is one big thing which interests me. And another big thing, I think I didn't talk about this project yet, but this is very important. This is also some ongoing project which is called Guerrilla Wearables. And it's a series of political wearables. We are doing this in a collaboration with Cultura, and they invited me to do some project together, and then it was kind of to me obvious to do this like political wearables, because I think this is an interesting way to approach wearables in art. We're doing this already for some time, but this will be a series of wearables, and one of the part of this series is this LoRa wearables. Basically, it's a communicator based on LoRa network. It's a peer-to-peer network. This is another thing. We already had some tests. We presented this project actually kind of like a test, kind of like a small prototype, which was not based on LoRa yet, but we prototyped this during Transmedia Festival last year with Dana Vasiliev. We did this workshop. We produced the small pins with a small chip inside, and these pins can communicate with each other, forming some network. But now we are doing this as a big project together with my colleague Przemysław Drnovsky, and again with people from Cultura, Alina from Cultura. We are doing this as LoRa-based communicators. Yeah, so we are working on this kind of thing, and we want to produce, and recently some other people also joined the project, and we want to produce a small drop, like small series of this communicators. So the idea is that there will be this wearables, set of wearables from pins to bracelets or to bags or something like maybe some kind of like jewelry, and there will be this chip with battery inside, and people can connect to the communicator from their smartphones, and then they can just communicate within the network. And what is beautiful about this, that within the city, it can send messages up to like 15 kilometers within the city. But if it's like open field or something, of course, it's like ideal situation. The maximum distance was 800 kilometers, which is crazy. But I think it's kind of like ideal situation somewhere in the field, whatever. But 15 kilometers in the city is still good, I think, like already to form some network. So this kind of thing can be used during the internet shutdowns, during in war zones, for instance, when people don't have the internet connection and they cannot communicate, or it can be used in environment where there are some restrictions, some censorship. If people want to have secure and safe way of communicating something, they can use these kind of tools. So this is it. So basically, this is an alternative mean of communication, and we want to make it user-friendly, accessible, because LoRa network, it's not brand new technology. It was there like for years, but there is no user-friendly way to use it. So we want to do it accessible. and also kind of cool. So we want to do it as a jewelry in a very cool way, kind of like I'm working on design. And I want to do it also to approach in terms of design and in a way that we don't want to hide chip. We don't want, because like we have all these like black boxes. It's a black box. But I wanted all these like electronics to be a part of design. It will be all visible. Yeah, it's still an art project, but I think it's more on this like activist side already. Because we already have some people interested, some activists who are interested in this project, of course. Yeah.
That sounds exciting, and
Thank you.
I wish you the best with those projects.
Thank you.
And in general, it was a pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you. Very nice questions, actually. Very interesting conversation. Thank you.